Kiwis are being shortchanged when it comes to being compensated for car damage created by potholes. Exclusive figures released to AM by ACT this morning reveal that of the 550 complaints made so far this year, yes, so far this year, only 4 were compensated by Waka Kotahi. ACT Transport spokesperson Simon Court is with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Do you know what I think is more interesting than that? Is the fact that the number of the complaints. So in 2017 there were 320 complaints, 2018 284 complaints, 2019 388 complaints, then we had COVID. Now we're at 550 complaints and we're not even done with the year yet.
That's right. It looks like on current trends that we're heading for around 700 complaints around damage to vehicles, both from private sector as well as business users like truckies.
Right, and so is that our fault for hitting the potholes?
Look, we've asked Michael Wood, who's responsible for the transport agency, how many complaints have you received? And when he told us, we were shocked. And it makes sense. We've heard about these people stuck on the State Highway 2 on the Kiwis, having to fix blown tyres in the middle of the night on a rainy night, and terrified, frankly. It's not our responsibility to dodge the potholes. It's the Minister of Transport, Michael Wood, and his agency's responsible to fix our roads.
Yeah, they're not even coming on to talk about it though. Does that surprise you? Does that worry you? We've asked them so many times to come on this program, Waka Kotahi, to talk about potholes, and they've never come on.
Well, we think that the Minister and the agency have their priorities all wrong. You'll hear Minister Michael Wood talk about light rail, about a bike bridge over Auckland Harbour. He talks about climate change a lot. And Waka Kotahi, ACT also found, has spent over $45 million on consulting about lowering speed limits. ACT thinks that this government has their priorities all wrong. Kiwis just want to be able to get places quickly and safely, and we need a good state highway network to do that.
OK, because the Minister says the reason the roads are in the state of disrepair they're in is because National ran them into the ground and didn't keep up with maintenance. The AA says they told this program that we would need about $900 million extra over 3 years to get our roads up to a drivable standard. If you form a coalition with the National Party, will you ensure that that happens?
Well, look, ACT believes that we should actually get the politicians out of roading and making decisions around transport. We should leave it to the professionals. We've got a policy that says we should set up regional transport agencies and that they should have a 30-year infrastructure plan that they can go and get funding from the private sector, institutional capital, if they want to build new roads, upgrade them, toll roads, for example. That's how we'll get New Zealand moving again. We need more money, but it's not necessarily going to come from the taxpayer.
So we won't have potholes in our roads, but we'll be paying to drive on them?
Well, we already do. We pay through fuel tax. Truckies and people who drive diesel vehicles pay road user charges. The problem is the money's not going back into the roads. It's going into pet projects like Michael Wood's bike bridge. They spent $100 million just standing up the project. So
would we then see the fuel excise duties and the road user charges taken off?
Well, these things are all in the mix, because in the future, if we're driving EVs or hydrogen vehicles, we won't be paying fuel duty at the pump. So, look, ACT believes that now's a good time for us to reconsider how we fund, finance and deliver state highway networks.
What do the Nats think of that?
Oh, look, I sit on Transport Committee with some of the Nats, and we share a lot of the same objectives. I guess the difference is that I've just been to the US to investigate infrastructure funding and financing and how we can learn from the best.
I want to read you a statement from Waka Kotahi, because this is all we can get out of them at the moment. They say drivers are expected to drive to the local conditions, recognise that conditions may vary along a stretch of road. It is also expected that drivers have insurance for their vehicles in the event of any damage that may occur on the road, and their insurer should be the first point of contact where damage has occurred. If appropriate, the insurer might contact Waka Kotahi. It goes on and on and on. It says here, we encourage people to drive to the conditions, slow down and maintain a safe following distance between their vehicle and the one in front to maximise their chance of seeing a pothole in the road. So they're literally saying slow down so that you can see the many potholes that litter our roads.
Look, that doesn't surprise me. This government and the Transport Agency have their priorities all wrong. In a government that involves ACT, we would make sure that the agency is doing what they're supposed to, deliver safer roads, but also make sure that we can travel at a decent speed.
All right, thank you very much for coming in this morning. Do you think it's fair that they've only compensated 4 people out of the more than 500 that have complained so far this year? Do you think they should be compensating more?
I think if people can make the case that their vehicle's been damaged, then the Transport Agency should. But look, let's be clear. What we need the Transport Agency to do is actually deliver much better roads so Kiwis can get around safely.
All right, that is ACT Transport spokesperson Simon Court with us this morning. I will play you just a clip now. This is from Angela Parlane. She is a lawyer and was on this program a few weeks ago. She had this to say when I asked her, is it the responsibility of Waka Kotahi to maintain those roads? And if so, might they be liable should we hit a pothole?
Well, I believe so. Waka Kotahi is charged under the Land Transport Management Act with the responsibility for maintaining roads and certainly budgeting for the maintenance of New Zealand, the roadways that they look after. So I would argue that they do have a duty of care to keep that maintenance going and ensure that users of the road do not sustain damage while doing so.